All pillaging and no hanky-panky makes Ragnar a terrible husband.
Through the white thunderstorms, we ride on the back of our drunk cars in a field of strife. Sons of gold, hearts made of fire, conquering lands, fueling our desires. Warring engines and lightning in our rise. United we stand, strength won't compromise. From the east to the west, we sail and we roll. Beneath open skies, the promised land where our spirits arise. We battle the storms, the tides of the sea. Now we've arrived in the land we're meant to be.
Welcome to the DragonShip. I am your host, Paul Bauer, and this is the only panel show on the internet where we fully believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. Joining me on the panel today, let's start with AJ so he can get the hell out of here and stop wasting everyone's time. Hey, AJ, get off, take yourself off mute and say hi to the crowd. Does he can't even hear me. He can't even hear me right now. This freaking clown. Okay, we'll start with Mike then. Hey, Mike, say hi to the audience. What's going on, man?
Hello, audience. How are you? It's a beautiful weekend. It is. That's right, because you made it that way. Yes, all of you. Thank you very much for having me. It's going to be a fantastic show today. The best show, the only show that matters.
Amazing.
AJ, take yourself off mute. Say hi and get the hell out of here.
I'm a little out where I'm at. Gonna say hi. I bounced with Vince and TJ from Masculine Geek. We're just gonna say hi. We might hop in a little bit later on our way back to the Airbnb.
All right.
Welcome, you guys. Watch the show.
Gonna catch you guys later. See you in a bit.
All right. Thor, what's new with you, man?
Hell, what a great time to be alive. We're living the dream. We're riding the rising tide. I love it, man. Look at these Drakars, all of them on the DragonShip, riding that rising tide. It's fantastic. I mean, the demonstration and the rise of conventional masculinity is coming. Watch and see. I got more on that in a minute.
All right. Tarl, what's going on, brother?
Oh, living the dream, man, as always.
That's good. All right. So we are going to be talking about 10 ways to balance work and your love life without losing attraction. A lot of guys get really hyper focused on being the provider, right? Got to be the provider. So they work 17-hour days and barely spend any time with their girl. And by the time they get home, they are too exhausted to properly lay that pipe. And what happens? Well, the spark starts to fade from their relationship. But in today's economy, what's a man supposed to do, right? Gas prices are astronomical. You need a small loan to get the essentials like milk and eggs.
For now.
You almost feel obligated to work extra, right? Well, we have a list of 10 secrets that will help you with that work-life balance. Yes, for now, right? President Trump.
You'll see. You'll see.
So the first one on the list that I got here is prioritize quality time over quantity, right? So spending meaningful, engaging time together. It's more about making the moments count rather than the amount of time you're actually spending. So you want to aim for activities that strengthen that connection and create positive memories. I'm going to throw it over to Tarl. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. This is one of the things I've talked about on my channel previously. I'm planning on doing a video about it. This is why a lot of people get stuck in dead-end jobs, because they don't realize we got mammal brains. So if you go to and from work over and over again and you get stuck in that routine, your mammal brain thinks you're stuck in a cave-in, because we used to burrow and shit like that, you know, as evolutionary biology. And this is why people will feel trapped when they're not trapped. People wonder, why do I feel trapped when I shouldn't feel trapped? That's why. Same thing with women in relationships getting bored, right? Because they feel trapped because there's no change in the routine. You have to break up the monotony. Otherwise, your mammal brain will feel trapped. It is what it is.
All right. Thor, you wanna jump in here on this one?
Yeah, quality is really important. You got to pick it though. I mean, it's a skill that you have to acquire over time. I've actually fallen into the trap of too much time, too much career, and created a complacency situation where attraction did not exist. I think we're especially vulnerable after so many years in a relationship, and when you're a little older and the children leave the home. It's called empty nest syndrome, and you can really get focused on your career. Things are going so well, and your spouse just becomes, or your consorts just become kind of sidelines. So you have to pay attention to that. So I think your point is well taken.
Yeah, just to add to that, when I was married, I mean, I really fell into that trap because my now ex-wife wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I was like, well, if you're not going to work, then you're going to handle everything in the household. And my only job is to like focus on making sure that we have a roof over our head and food on the table. And then I found myself working, 17-hour days, mainly because I hated her ass and I didn't want to see her. And so it was much better being at the office than it was being at home listening to her nag. But I didn't realize at the time that if I did create more of a work-life balance and, did spend more time trying to foster that relationship, more quality time, I wouldn't hear her nag as much. I wouldn't hear her bitch and moan. Like there's a reason why women bitch and moan. It's almost like it should be like a warning sign for guys, and we don't hear that. We just want to run away from that, right? Oh, she's bitching and moaning.
Or
I'm
make
gonna
it
stay
stop.
at work
Make it
longer.
stop.
Right. But instead of like going, oh wait, hold on, this is a sign that something's off. Let me fix this. Guys don't do that. They're like, I'll stay at the office for 17 hours instead and make more money. What do you think, Mike?
This is actually one of those episodes where I'm probably going to learn more than I have to say, because this is something that I've slipped into from time to time, and I've experimented by trying things that some other guys would consider to be not as masculine, like cooking dinner with my woman. Maybe even doing like a really extended sensual massage session, like a 90-minute full body massage with all the oil and everything. And then, of course, yes, it leads to sex, but that patience and that buildup is something that that most women that I've been with actually do value and appreciate.
I think that's quite good. That's not masculine. That can be very masculine.
No, it doesn't matter. Got laid, man. If it's effective. It's all about the sexual strategy. So let's move on to the next idea then, right? So embrace spontaneity. So I posted a video a couple of days ago talking about one of the biggest attraction killers in a relationship is routine. A lot of guys get into a routine and they become dependable and predictable, and that kills attraction over time. Like Tarl was saying, women get bored with that. And I was like, if you want to fix that, you need to keep her guessing a little bit. You need to spice things up, right? And so some lady in the comments on TikTok was like, don't do this because then we're going to get suspicious and you don't want that. And I go, well, actually, that suspicion actually works magically, by the way.
Never listen to the fish, gentlemen.
Right. No, never listen to what they say. Always watch what they respond to. But it doesn't have to be necessarily where you're doing all this stuff where she's like, what is he up to? Is he out banging other chicks? You can just be more spontaneous, right? Like one of the things, Nurse Chick's gonna love me talking about this, but one of the things that we like doing is if we're on a road trip, I'll just randomly find some side road, pull off on some side road, and then bang her in the back of the car. Like just out of nowhere, right? It's not like she's expecting it. We're not planning it. It's just, hey, we're doing this right now. And she's like, oh, okay. Because it's spontaneous, right? That stuff's fun. But keeping things fresh by mixing up your schedule with spontaneous dates or activities like a surprise dinner or new experiences, this unpredictability keeps the relationship dynamic exciting and fun, right? It helps maintain that attraction because she can't figure you out. What is he going to do next? Oh my God, he's doing this now. That kind of stuff keeps things interesting. What would you say to that, Tarl?
I'd agree with that. Oh, one of the little tidbits that I give guys, say in rural areas, is I tell them, hey, you got a car, get a state park sticker, get a yearly pass every year. And you can go to hike trails and stuff like this, and you can meet a
Yes.
lot of women. And if you got a girl already, you got all sorts of places that you can go to free of charge, right? Unless you want to actually can't rent a site for the night and do some real camping or whatever, you know. Then you have to pay for the site fee and stuff. But otherwise, you've got numerous in most states in the United States. There's numerous state parks you just got access to then. So you can just decide on a whim magically whatever one you want to do. Now your girl could be like go through the list, but she's never going to know which one you're going to pick next. You could be like, oh, I want to go to this one 2 hours away, or I want to go to this one 15 minutes away, and that gives that spontaneity already built in. And it, like I said, even if you're not looking for, or you don't already have a girl, you can go looking for girls and do cold approach. So it's like a win-win, in my opinion, and it's very spontaneous. And it also shows a DHV you have a healthy lifestyle. If you're meeting girls out fucking hiking,
It's hard to meet girls out hiking where I'm at. They're literally in the middle of nowhere, But
well,
Mike,
it depends.
What do you think about this? I mean, this works not just in a relationship, but when you're out in the dating circuit too.
Yes. Obviously, I'm going to piggyback off Tarl, being a former Oregonian. Yeah, nothing beats banging in the woods. And when I say in the woods, I mean 20 miles from the next closest person. That's my granola gal, who was a nurse. We would go hiking very far out into the middle of nowhere, like could die if you got lost kind of hiking. So she and I were really into that. But yeah, you do have to keep it spontaneous, even if you're not in the middle of nowhere. So like out here in Vegas, we do have Red Rock. It's a lot more populated, but we got some areas that are pretty secluded. And even if you're not going secluded, I mean, there's a resort right down the street, and you can do his and hers spontaneous spa date, and then retreat up to a room. One room is $175 a night. And then you're just looking out. I've shown you guys the view from that hotel, looking out over Vegas, 15 miles away. It looks amazing. And that's where I would, spend some time with one of my ladies. So yeah, just mixing it up and keeping it interesting, going to shows. I'm deviating a little bit because I kind of forgot what you were talking about, but
just keeping things spontaneous.
Yeah. My personal go-to favorite was like my granola gal. Usually I would spend like 2 whole days with her. So like once a month we would spend a whole weekend together. And so I would wake up in the morning sometimes like in her bed, and I would go into the kitchen, and she would be like in the kitchen washing dishes or something like that. And I would just bend her over the sink right there in the kitchen and just take care of business. She really liked that.
Going back to what you were saying about in the woods, 20 miles from other people, what's even more kind of naughty is when there's people on the hiking trail 30 feet from you, and the possibility of getting caught there, that actually kind of adds some spontaneity. Sure.
Yeah, so considering what you guys just said, emotional spiking is a really good way to do this. And here's I'll just use an example that falls in line with you guys to create that sense of adventure and risk. And at first they probably would resist, but it works really well. Take a moment for that quality time and take her shopping for something you want to get her. Maybe it's Victoria's Secret, maybe it's a workout outfit at Dick's Sporting Goods, whatever it is, wherever it must be, must have a full dressing rooms available. She's going to try on her stuff. You're going to take her into that dressing room, and then you are going to do a heavy petting makeout session, even though she's resisting. There's no cameras. It's private. She's scared to death she's going to get caught. And then when she reaches her highest amount of panic of getting caught, you pull back, I'm done, and you use some coquetry. That is some intense emotional spiking that will actually create mystery, adventure, and risk that would be very beneficial to you in the long run.
Oh, but Thor the Whammon say you're evil.
But the ends justify the means.
Let's go ahead and get this super chat from Siege D. I don't know which channel he posted this on, but a $2 super chat. That Viking looks like Huds with a long beard. He's talking about the thumbnail. Yeah, it actually. I thought the same thing, honestly.
It looks like anime Huds. Like, look at those eyes.
Anime heads. Yeah, cool.
Let's see. Where is the? Hold on. Here it is. I should have let Mike read that one in his Trump voice. My bad.
Next one.
Hey, I'm going to
Next
shout
one.
out to the chat too. It looks like we've got a lot of folks running in there. Thank you guys. Appreciate everybody that's in there. Eric Quinn, just everybody that jumps in. We're happy to have you here. Send in a super chat, ask some questions. I see Dayhanger. Siege has already done it. I mean, all the guys are there. Hopefully we can get Nuke jumping in here a little bit later. I see everybody. So fantastic, man.
Hey, Erkin, look at the LEDs behind Viking Paradigm and take a wild guess where he lives. Just
America.
take a guess.
America.
Fuck yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break here. Let's talk about how another way that you can keep that spice alive, and that's changing your whole paradigm around your relationship. So we'll play a commercial for my book, and then we'll get back to the topic. Have you ever felt like something's holding you back in your relationships? Like you're always on the back foot, struggling to connect with women? You're not alone. Many men are taught to be weak, to defer, to play small around women by their upbringing, by society, by the very world that shaped them. But what if you could break free from the invisible chains that have held you back? What if you could rewrite the script? Reprogram the paradigm that's been running your life. This is your chance to step into the man you were always meant to be. In The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm by Paul Bauer, the first book in R.P. THOR's groundbreaking series, you'll learn how to understand and transform the paradigms that have shaped your life. You'll discover how to develop a dominant masculine presence, one that commands respect, inspires trust, and brings fulfillment to your relationships. Don't wait for life to change on its own. Take control. Order your copy of The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm now on Amazon. Available in hardcover, paperback, or on Kindle. This is more than a book. It's your roadmap to a life of purpose, strength, and success. Make the decision today. Reprogram your life and step into the man you were meant to be. And get a motorcycle.
Yes, go buy Paul's book, gentlemen. It's a great book.
So the next one is communicate upcoming commitments, right? So share when you have a big project or travel coming up. So there's clarity around why you might be less available, because transparency builds trust and respect for others' time. I'll throw that one over to Tarl as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think communication in general, like if you're a leader, you need to be communicating what you're doing with anyone that's following you, right? It's the same way that my girl communicates with me about what she's got going on. Some people would be, go to the, where is it? Hold on.
Misogyny.
Oh, your girl reports in. It's just like, yeah. And if anything ever happens to her, I got a good time frame. Right? If somebody were to like do some bullshit with my girl, snatch her up or something like that, her always telling me where she's going and what she's doing, that lets me, gives me good time frame of what the fuck's going on. And vice versa. If I'm doing stuff, I'm going to let her know what's going on as well, especially when we've got, like you said, future engagements. If you've got plans, you're making plans, that sort of communication is important. So that way the other person working with you understands that context. Now, if you got reason to be paranoid that, she might be trying to set you up for something or whatever, that you got other problems you need to address first.
Fair enough. Mike, what do you think? How do you think your wife or girlfriend would handle it if you got big projects coming up, right? And she wants to spend quality time with you, but you just can't because you have these huge other obligations. But if you let her know about it, like, hey, look, I've got a lot of stuff going on right now. Things are going to settle down around this time, but just to set that expectation with you, do you think she'll handle that well, or do you think that's it's not a good idea?
Well, like I said, Paul, this is one of those episodes where I think I'm going to learn more than I have to contribute, and that's because with this particular one, I've always had a negative response to this. Always. I've never had a good response to letting her know that, hey, like the next month is going to be crazy and I'm going to be, working harder, working longer, working Saturdays, working Sunday afternoons. It's never gone well. And I acknowledge that there might be something that I'm doing wrong to contribute to that. But usually if it's work, it's just gone better for me if I just say work is work. You also, when you're salaried instead of hourly, you have a bit more of flexibility there in terms of your explanation, because there's that expectation with being salary that when the phone rings and there's nothing you can do about it. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm an outlier. Maybe I'm fucking up. Maybe you guys can help me with that, but that's my story.
I think that's actually going to be the next.
Happy to.
That's going to be the next concept here. But first, we'll throw this over to Thor about communicating upcoming commitments.
So, I have some different opinions, but generally, I think when it comes to like work and projects where I'm traveling, not so much. No, because in my line of work, it was always life-threatening and dangerous. The more details I give, the harder she'd worry and the worse it would get for us. And there would be sabotages. So really had to rely on the principles that I talk about, where saying less than is necessary, just enough to let her know that I have these commitments, and she's completely supportive, but the details, absolutely not. No, unless it's a joint project between me and her. Otherwise, if it's stuff that I'm doing, no, she is a cheerleader and she'll cheerlead after the successes here. And it's really to protect her. That's how I've seen it work much better for me. The more detail I give her, the worse it gets. I start getting questions. Then you start getting, hey, did you get this done? Calls, all that stuff.
Yep.
No, you're inviting a whole lot of sabotage, and she doesn't even know she's doing it. What you can do, particularly if you're traveling, is you remember, absence makes the heart grow fonder. There's a lot of truth to that. Not that you're going to do it or make her jealous, but you can definitely use this to your advantage. You can tell her just enough to where she understands that you have these things that are far greater and they're to your benefit and thereby her benefit, and she should be prepared for them. But if she wants to drill into the details, you're going to have issues. And that's been my experience all along and with the couples that I've counseled.
No, I think that's fair. I agree. You don't necessarily have to tell her everything. And for the most part, like for what Mike and I do for a day job, most chicks will have no understanding of what you're doing anyway. So it really makes no point to get too detailed, but just to let her know, hey, I'm not available because I've got these big projects. I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily.
Yeah, that goes back to one of the things that I've said before, is I always say less is more. Like even when I went down to Miami and stuff like that, I didn't give my girl all the details about the itinerary or any of that stuff. I just told her like the days that I'm going and the days that I'll be back types to, generalized information, and give as needed information. Like if it's necessary, like, hey, I need you to pick me up at the airport at this time, that type of stuff, logistics.
Yeah.
Realize with the gals, Tarl, I know you know this, and so do you, Paul. Everybody probably does. Is when you talk to somebody, even at work, let me just go ahead and let them get this out. When you're talking to somebody about a project, and you might just mention the elements of a project or a work assignment, and you're saying, yeah, I got to do this, and then I got to call, or I got to show up here, and then I'm working on this one, but I have these elements out. When you tell somebody that, their natural instinct is to start giving you advice to problem solve. And a lot of times that is not useful to you unless you specifically ask for it. And they're going to want to inject that in. So that conversation will start to detract from what you have to do. I don't know if everybody realizes that, but think about that next time. You'll even see that at work. Go tell your boss something that he doesn't have to take action on. He immediately thinks he has to take action on it, right?
Yep.
Your wife and your girlfriend are exactly the same way. Don't do that, because then they got to take action and worry about stuff that is unnecessary. And it can actually be detrimental to your relationship.
You know who else does that? Who else does that? My beer club brothers.
Anybody will do that. That's actually.
I'm trying really hard not to just inject advice to people unless they ask me. That is the right and the most respectful thing to do.
It's so hard for men not to do that. Yeah. so hard.
Yeah,
for
well,
people to
here's the
tackle.
thing: is that this is a trick you can actually use to get people to open up to you more. Fun fact, and this is given by behavioral experts, is by making statements rather than by asking questions. The person automatically switches you into more of a friend mode in the head, so that way they then deal with you as a friend rather than somebody that's questioning them.
Interesting. So this sort of leads us into the next concept, which I think could be beneficial to Mike. It's not always possible in Mike's line of work, but setting boundaries with work, right? So create a clear distinction between work and personal time. When you're off the clock, be fully present at home. This boundary makes the time you spend together more fulfilling. Not always easy when servers are crashing and the fucking company's losing money. I get that, but other times it's like I have a perfect example of this, right? So I don't necessarily manage networks and systems anymore. I'm more of a DevOps manager now. And so my guys, they're there to deploy code. They're there to sort of support the development team and getting that code deployed, and then supporting the QA team to get the stuff tested. And a lot of times the developers don't plan very well. They do last minute changes. They want my guys available 24/7 to deploy random crap so that the QA guys can test it for these, unrealistic deadlines that they set. And so I tell my guys, like, hey, if this is completely unrealistic and you have like doctor's appointments and stuff like that, it's okay to set expectations and say, I'm not available on this day to deploy that. So we're going to have to figure something else out. Right. And so then they come to me and complain. I go, well, my guy's got a doctor's appointment. You're going to have to figure something else out. Yeah. Like, it's okay to be assertive with them and use some of those tools that we learn in this space. What do you think about that, Tarl?
Well, that goes back to enlightened self-interest, right? You're supposed to prioritize yourself so that way you can help others. And this is the same principle that my grandfather taught me about treating other people under him and his command in the Navy as human beings rather than cogs in the machine. And that's why, like, he would give guys time off. The one guy, for example, his wife had pneumonia and he was like, fucking up his work. They were working on bomber engines, aircraft engines, right? And he was fucking up and causing more problems. So rather than reprimanding him, my grandfather pulled him aside and asked him what the fuck was going on. Let's just tell me what's going on. Tell me the truth. And he said, I'm worried about my wife. She might die. And he's like, fuck it. Go home, take care of your wife. We'll take care of it. The guys are going like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? Why'd you send him home? And you're going like, oh, dude, his wife's like might be fucking dying. So I sent him home so he can at least be with her in case she, kicks the bucket. Right. And he's going through some real shit. He's obviously no good to us right now anyway, at the state that he's in. So send him home. He nursed his wife back to health. He lives out for, I want to say, like 2-3 weeks. Dude comes back and works extra hard. And everybody's so inspired by that they work extra hard and they make up like a 6-month fucking backlog in no time. And my grandfather was, proud of that story. But once again, it's because he treated them like human beings, not just cogs in the machine, and was able to understand what they wanted and what they needed to perform at their best.
It sounds like communism there, Viking.
Well, it's like if a guy has got something going on in his personal life, that's what he's focused on. He's not focused on the job at hand, and that's where mistakes are made, right? So it's like, okay, what's more beneficial for the company? Let this guy go get his shit sorted so that he can come back and focus on work, right? That's a perfect example. I have a couple of guys who they have this impression that they can never take time off, that they can, if they're sick, they have to just suck it up. And I'm like, where are you getting that from? I've never once said that, right? And I have a guy he's like, Paul, I have to be able to go to this doctor's appointment and whatever. I'm like, so go to your doctor's appointment. Like, what do you need me to take something off your plate so you can go do that? And then he'll just skip the doctor's appointment. I'm like, what are you doing at work? I told you to go to your doctor's appointment. So, well, they keep asking for stuff. I'm like, put your shit, put your out of office reply on and fucking go. I got it. Like, it's okay. Don't complain that you're not going to the doctor when I'm telling you to go to the fucking doctor. Right. But a lot of people just have that mentality that they can't do that because they don't know how to set those boundaries. And so as a manager, I'm like, I'm going to set those boundaries for you. Like, go to the fucking doctor, take care of your shit. I will run interference for you. That's my job. Thor,
Yeah,
what do you
when I was an operations manager, I had the same philosophy. I'd tell my guys, I'd be like, if you're out for a day, I'd rather you were out for a day rather than have something get neglected, not get maintenanced, and now you're out permanently or for at least like 3 months or something like that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I need you healed up back at work ASAP. So go get your shit handled.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Thor?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all you guys. A little different in my industry, which is kind of more leaning towards like first responders, where you have a crew of 5, and if one guy's gone, you can't do the work, and if the grid's down, that's a problem. So, guys they just learn to schedule a week or so in advance for like doctor's appointments and time off. You can't help for emergencies. Emergencies are going to happen. They're not that often, but you'll run into some employees, kind of like women, that'll flake at the last minute or always come up with something they forgot at the last minute. And over time those guys get weeded out because everybody's got to put food on the table, and if you're doing that all the time, you're not helping them do that. So that seems to self-sort itself eventually, but it's not that much different what you guys just said.
I want to add to that too, because my guy, one of my guys, he scheduled one of his doctor's appointments the day after a software deployment, and I go, I'm gonna allow it this time. I go, but that's the worst fucking time to schedule your time off, because the next day after a software deployment, it's always when clients start finding bugs.
Yep.
That our QA team didn't find, and there's almost always a hot fix that needs to be deployed, and I kind of need you here the day after. Yep. But one day after that, that's a perfect time to fucking go. So plan better, and this will not be an issue anymore. But yeah, a lot of guys don't think ahead like that. But if you just do a little bit of planning, look at the release calendar, you're gonna figure things out.
Mature employees, they get it. It's just us mentoring a lot of times new guys and stuff.
Yeah. So, Mike, does that resonate with you at all? The setting boundaries with work.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially hourly. Like hourly, it should be very, very easy for you to put your foot down and be like, oh, you want me to fix this? Okay. Start paying me. Yep. It's very, very simple. And that's also your legally protected right as well.
Yep.
So, but yeah, salary can be a little bit different. Now, I'm in a position now where, although I work for a casino, the casino is non-existent for a little while. If you know, you know. But so I have a 9 to 5 now. I'm 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and if I want to take a weekend off, I can. If I want to deploy a server on the weekend, I can. I could actually take my servers down on a Saturday afternoon, so that they're ready to go for Monday. So it's a different world for me right now. But I would say if you're salaried, where you absolutely must put your standards up is when you're on vacation. When you're on vacation, you're on vacation. If your boss approved the day off, the half day off, the week off, whatever it is, take it seriously.
Yeah, I think that's a good recommendation.
And seriously and literally. Nope, phone is off.
Let's take a quick break, because a good way of learning how to set boundaries is by having a dominant masculine presence. Have you ever felt like you're fading into the background? Like the world doesn't want you to stand out, to be strong, to be masculine? You're not imagining it. For decades, society has been reshaping the role of men, leaving many feeling lost and disconnected. It's time to change the narrative. In A Dominant Masculine Presence by R.P. THOR, discover the path to reclaim your strength, your confidence, and your identity as a man. This isn't about fitting into a stereotype. It's about embracing your natural traits and honing them into a powerful presence. Learn the 7 skills that every man needs to lead with authority, read body language, and control his emotions. R.P. THOR breaks it down with clear examples and practical advice to help you transform your life. It's time to stop apologizing for who you are. It's time to lead with pride and courage. A Dominant Masculine Presence gives you the tools to do just that. Get A Dominant Masculine Presence by R.P. THOR on Amazon or listen on Audible. Don't let society dictate who you should be. Claim your strength,
and redefine your future.
Oh, the pink pussy hats. Think we've seen the last of them for a while.
Yeah, and masculine is going to be on the rise, Paul. I really do believe it. I mean, we touched on it in Rule Zero, but watch for a resurgence there, particularly because Trump had demonstrated something that you and I both write about, but something I really focused on was that dominant masculine presence of an inspirational leader. He got shot through the ear, went to the ground, stood back up, looked around and said, fight, fight, fight. He knew what went on. I mean, in Reagan, when he went down, only thing he could do was get back up, you know. That kind of leadership that is demonstrated rather than, explicated is so immensely powerful and projects that presence. That is the vibe of a inspirational leader that transfers to those that observe it. And what do? We do the mirror effect. You'll even see, you're even going to see a rise in femininity because of it as time goes on. So this is really a good thing. It's very timely. And your book with the with the paradigms, perfect lead in to start to change that for yourself if you're stuck in this rut.
And two things related to that, Thor. Number one, one of my favorite clips of Reagan is when he's giving a speech after he's been shot, and out in the audience somewhere, a balloon pops, and it just goes bang, and he goes, "Miss me," and just continues on with his speech.
So good. What a leader. You know?
And look, guys, do your own research by all means. Don't take us as gospel, but look at how many leaders and terrorists all over the world started shaking in their boots just 2 days after Donald Trump was elected. Russia's ready to negotiate.
Yep.
Hamas wants to end the war. There's like 2 other terrorist leaders already kissing Trump's ass. There's like 9 different things happening where they're all like, "Oh shit, okay. Yeah, we're cool. It's just
Dad's
like
home. Dad's home.
Yeah, daddy's home." And that dominant masculine presence re-entering the White House, they know that if they dick around in the next 2 months, that they're going to find out.
Yeah. Even Xi Jinping comes on public TV. I have friends that are Chinese, and it's like, I hope the USA and us can remain close friends in this transition. Why do you think he's saying shit like that? You know? I think the war drum to Taiwan is probably going to calm down now.
All right. Well, back on topic. So the next concept I have here is use technology for planning, not connecting, right? So use digital tools like shared calendars or texting to plan meaningful outings or special occasions rather than relying on technology for daily connection. Because a lot of people, if you're working a lot, they're like, oh, I should probably text her more and check in with her more and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, nah, your great grandparents had a wonderful relationship because they weren't texting all day. They saved their conversations till they were in person, which meant when they were in person, they actually missed each other, right? So they were like excited to catch up with each other.
They were present.
Right. They were more present. So if you don't text her all day, keep that stuff for when you're in person, keep those conversations when you're in person. Those in-person connections are going to be more powerful. What do you think about that, Tarl?
Yeah, once again, it less is more. That's the key thing, is that most guys, the issue they have is they give too much. That's their main issue in a relationship. They give too much time, they give too much money, they give too much attention, right? And they end up basically wondering why the girl loses interest in them. It's because that's what all low-value men do, is they give because they've got nothing else. And they know it. So that's why they give, right? To try to make up for all their other shortcomings. Women instinctually know this, whether they consciously realize it or not. So if you're that guy always treating her nice, why do they like the assholes? Why do they treat nice guys like shit? It's because they know sneaky fucker game when they see it. Like, that's what it comes down to. So when you're a little bit of an asshole and you care a little bit more about yourself than you do about her, it tends to make all the difference. And that's why less is more, because the rare thing is the good thing. The common thing is the thing.
Right. It's kind of like water, right? Water, you can't survive without it, but it's so common, no one thinks about it. But gold, that's rare, so it's precious. Mike.
This is something I absolutely 100% can relate to. Guys, when you get the time to plan a little something for you and your woman, all you got to do is around 10, 11 a.m., say it's Friday morning, 10, 11 a.m., you just text her, you, red dress, heels, 7 p.m., be ready, send. And she's going to be like, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? I better be ready because something's going to happen. And it could be as simple as just dinner at a new place, or it could be to the nines, you know, take her to the theater, to the dinner, and then come home and split her wide open. It could be all sorts of things. But just that alone gets her hamster wheel going. Like, oh, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Why do you say that? Oh, you know, it gets her going. So that is something that has always worked for me. Now you still got to have a plan. You know, don't send that text message and be like, oh shit, where am I going to take her? Shit, I haven't thought of a place yet. Oh, what about that one restaurant? No reservations. Shit. What about that other one? Full. Shit. You know, you got to have a plan. Don't send that text until you already have a plan. But when you send that text, oh boy, the results are worth it.
All right. Thor, texting and phone calls for logistics.
I am going to give you guys some advice to where I think that some of that's fine. It should be very much a minimum. But I want to give whoever's listening some really good pragmatic advice here that I want you to try. Because when you're in a long-term relationship, let's say you're in a long-term relationship, and that's what we're talking about here, and realize that there's going to be kids, there's going to be in-laws, there's going to be families, there's going to be birthdays, there's going to be businesses potentially, there's going to be different work schedules, there's going to be school schedules, there's all those sort of things. It would be an impossibility to do that all via text, and it's going to be confusing. Assumptions are going to get made. Here is my suggestion for everyone. This works well. Buy a calendar that's paper, yay big, 2 feet across. You start marking all the stuff on there in pencil, everything. Whether it's her having a PTA meeting, doctor's appointments, in-laws are coming here, this weekend we're going here, I have a project here, out of town here, whatever it is. And then once a week, sit down and talk about the next week. You guys will spend an hour in some of the best conversations you ever had because you did that. And there's no ambiguity coming into the next week where people get pissed and you get unnecessary text and confusion and misses. This is just super practical. And then you take this calendar, you freaking hang it on the fridge or the wall or whatever it is. You do that and you try to plan 2-3 weeks out, but usually it's going to end up being a week to 2 weeks. And you put everything down there. Hey, we're going to the swap meet this day, or that is the plan. You can always cross it out if it doesn't come up, right? So that will help a ton. If you haven't tried that technique, especially when you start to have kids and other social engagements, I think you'll find it extremely useful, and it will feed into the other points that Paul brought up as far as being able to be very direct with communication and understanding. So give it a try, trying to add some actionable information.
That's not just relationship management, Thor. That sounds like good household management.
Yeah, time management in general. Well, that's one of the key skills that I tell guys that I mentor. Like you time management. You need to understand money management, time management. Those are your two best friends.
Mm-hmm. You can
Well,
use
I mean, that's one way of just leading the household, right? And if your wife has less to think about and she trusts your leadership, and she also got to add some of her inputs in with the planning, like she doesn't have to think about anything now. And women love to just show up, do what they're supposed to do, and not have to think, right?
Show up and look pretty.
It's an excellent way for you to demonstrate it.
Yeah. The next concept here, which could go hand in hand with what Thor was saying, right, is delegate or outsource tasks, right? So at work, delegate tasks where you can free up your schedule. This is much easier if you're the boss, right? I love doing that. My boss gives me some shitty task. I'm like, how can I pawn this off on one of my guys to to do and turn in? At home, right, if you have kids, you have a slave labor force.
Yes.
That's part about having kids. So at home, consider outsourcing routine chores if it helps you gain more quality time together. What do you think about that, Tarl?
Oh, I think that your kids should have chores in general and learn to earn things. That's one of the things I was taught growing up. Like that's one of the things I see missing in a lot of kids. They don't have chores to do, and like the punishments if they don't do stuff is not really that bad. Oh, you get your PlayStation taken away for an hour. Like what? Like, oh, you can't play Fortnite for an hour. You know, like these are some of the punishments that kids have said they've gotten, and they're mad about it. Like that's not even a punishment. For me, like the punishment would be is my dad would come in with a hammer type shit and smash the damn thing. You know. Like if my dad, and that never didn't actually happen to me,
Or smash
but that's
you.
like the example. Like if my dad was like fed up and was going to take my PlayStation away, that's how he would do it just to drive the point home. It's just like, well, you done fucked up now, boy. Boom. Like, but a lot of people don't really have that perspective anymore. So I derailed a little bit. My bad.
That's all right. Mike, delegating.
Well, you know, my opponent Paul says slavery. I don't use that word. I prefer indentured servitude because they're your children and they owe you. So, but no, seriously, no, that was great. I love that you said slave labor. But yeah, totally delegate. And not just delegate, think about this. What can wait? Because you can delegate through time as well. Like, does this have to be done on Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. or can it wait until Monday at 11 a.m.?
Right.
Something like that. So, yes, that falls under time management, but when you said delegation, I also thought of, like, prioritization. And depending on where you are in your career and your life, with delegate, I mean, start thinking about this. You know, is there, you're mowing your lawn, right? Depending on how big your lawn is, maybe that takes half an hour. Maybe it takes 2 hours. Is there a 16-year-old boy in your neighborhood that wants to make some money? Delegate. Pay him to mow your lawn. I'm sure he would be happy to make some money and you'd be happy to do something else and not have to do that shit anymore. So that's one good reason, because time equals money, right? So that's a reason to make more money. People always like say things like, oh, eat the rich, and rich assholes, all they care about is their cars and their golden toilets and everything like that. It's like, no, time is money. The more money you have, you can then delegate menial tasks. Yes, I said menial, come at me. Menial tasks out to other people, and they derive value from that because you then compensate them. So that sink is leaking, get a plumber in here. The grass is getting long, pay a kid to mow it. Just over and over and over again. And so that's why, as a man and as a leader of your home and a provider, you want to keep increasing your monetary compensation as you go on through life, especially as you get older, because you may not be able to do the same kind of yard work you could when you were 20, when you're 60. So you will reach a point where you will have to delegate because you're going to be in a chair and you won't be able to do it yourself anymore anyway. So you need to make that cheddar.
One thing, just to add to that, if you guys have ever read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, one of the things that he talks about in that book is offshore Indian outsourcing. And there's a lot of very affordable services where they're basically your personal assistant, their virtual personal assistant, and they work overseas and they work very cheaply. And like the average person could afford that. And they take off a lot of these, like you said, menial tasks that you do on a daily basis to free up more time so you can work on the things that you care about or spend more time with your girl, whatever you want to do. Thor, you want to add on to this about delegation?
Yeah, I've actually outsourced to Brickworks and stuff like that when I was running the online power lineman store and selling the shirts and the artwork and all that stuff, you know, before Missy's incident. That was very, very good. And it would probably be beneficial to have an assistant like that, you know, definitely for SEO or anything like that. But yeah, delegation's a good thing. And you know, in a work environment, if you can inspire people to volunteer to take on those delegation tasks because they get validation from you, that's even better. And you can use that with your kids too, you know, instead of just bossing them. Although sometimes you're just going to have to lay down the law. This is your thing. You're going to do it, or there's consequences. So, yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. I think it's a really important skill.
Yeah. Well, it's just good. Yeah, it's just a good leadership skill in general to be able to realize you don't have to do everything yourself and to delegate and trust people to execute.
Yeah.
The next concept here is practice active listening. Be fully present in conversations. When you're together, give undivided attention, put away distractions, and show genuine interest. This presence strengthens the connection and shows you care. Tarl.
Yeah, that's one of the things. If you actually want to get to know somebody and understand their motivations, you need to fucking listen. That you have one mouth and 2 ears for a reason. That's one of the things my mom always said. Just like you're supposed to listen and try to understand, so that way then you can respond, and always think before you speak. Pretty simple.
Yeah, Mike.
Some guys are gonna come at me and say, "Oh, you're supplicating. You're being a beta. You're in her frame." When I say this, but nothing will demonstrate to your woman that you actually give a damn more than if you're in the middle of something inconsequential. Like, obviously, if you're in a work meeting, you tell her, can this wait? Okay, just be patient and we'll talk about this when I'm done. But say it's something inconsequential, like you're watching the football game, and she comes to you with something, and you know your woman, so you can kind of tell when it's just which one looks better on me versus something we need to talk about something very serious, and you turn the TV off. You don't mute it. You turn it off, and you turn and you face her and you look her in the eye. Now, 5 times out of 10, your woman's probably gonna bring up something that probably wasn't that important, but you can make that determination when she does it. The fact that you turn the TV off and turn and look at her is going to speak volumes. And then you can use your best judgment accordingly after that. But no, that does a lot. That really does a lot, and I speak from experience there. They really like that, and if you miss one touchdown, they're just going to replay it 5 times anyway, so come on.
Thor.
Yeah, active listening is a really important skill. So is observation, and it is a skill that is very perishable. All of us, have issues with active listening because, and you can see it. You'll be talking with them, and you can't wait to interject your point before you forget. You interrupt them. If you're interrupting somebody in the middle of their point, you're not really respecting them, and you really don't care what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
That is a big part of active listening, and even though they may not say that, they know it. They know it deep down. So hopefully, whether it's your woman or it's work, you can do that. And you need to listen. And also what you want to do is you want to try in your mind as you're listening to identify the emotions that they're feeling based on body language, intonation, pacing. Because if you can acknowledge what that is and tell them that I understand how you're feeling about this, and then kind of briefly go over it, they'll think you're a god amongst men, that you can do that, because nobody does that. They just interject with how they're feeling and what they're thinking. And that has become a very common way of communicating in business and in interpersonal relationships. And it seems to create a small barrier. Whereas if you can do what Paul is describing as active listening, which is described in a lot of books, going all the way back to Dale Carnegie's book, that's a much more passionate way to communicate, and it works really well. I suspect Trump is very good at this. With that kind of charisma and his ability to get people to volunteer to delegate for him.
Thor, you know me all too well.
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, I agree with Thor 100%. And there was actually a conversation I was having with one of my gals one time, and she was expressing something to me. And I did exactly what Thor said to do, and I looked at her and I said, "So that made you feel like unvalued?" And this look in her eye where she goes, "Yes!" Like her brain was just like, "Oh my God, he actually articulated my emotion back to me. Holy shit." And so yeah, she started crying and she hugged all over me, and just ended the conversation. She didn't keep going on and on and on, because that's what women do when they feel like they're not getting through to you from an emotional standpoint. They just keep going and going and going. And that's where we get the trope of like, oh, why won't she shut up? But just like saying her emotion back to her with words, it can just, boom, end it. She's like, oh, I got what I needed. I got my validation. I love you.
That's one of the things I learned from Corey Wayne's book, How to Be a 3% Man. And he talks about Dale Carnegie's book too, right? You want to basically use the Pareto principle of 80-20 and listen 80% of the time and only speak 20% of the time. And really one of the things that he ended up saying is women just want to feel heard and understood. And when they feel heard and understood, that's when the legs open.
Yep.
Employees are like that too, especially team members. They really are. It's something in the human nature, and if you can play that Pareto curve so the balance of probabilities are always in your favor like that, you'll be viewed as an inspirational or transformational leader, and people want to do things like that, and they think that, man, that guy is one of the guys that he really gets it. He understands us down here, even if you don't. Yeah, it's because you're taking the time and the energy to do that.
Yeah. So that leads us into the next one, which is celebrate small wins together. So take time to celebrate each other's accomplishments, whether big or small. Recognizing these wins builds mutual respect and adds positive energy to your relationship, reinforcing a supportive environment. So what do you think about that, Tarl?
Once again, I agree. This is one of the things I've been recommended by John MLD is you need to actually acknowledge when you're doing good, because one of the things that a lot of guys will do, like you said before about going to work and just trying to grind through it, is that you grind yourself down. You get burnout and you end up losing because you're not spending the time to repair and do, between training and stuff like that, right? Whether you're doing work or play, you need to take breaks to recuperate. And that's what happens in those situations, is that you just grind yourself out and you're not able to do what you need to do.
Yeah. Mike, celebrating wins together.
Yes, absolutely. For those of you in my circle, I celebrated by myself last night by going to Trump Tower and having a very, very nice dinner. But one of the gals I used to see a few months ago, she was also a Trump supporter. So if she and I, say hypothetically, she and I were still together, I would have taken us both to Trump Tower to celebrate. And any woman that I'm with is going to at least be somewhat on my program enough to where at least she doesn't actively hate someone like Trump's and object to going to dinner with me. But as far as your own personal accomplishments, yes, absolutely. Because if she is your woman and she is on your program and she is contributing to the team in a meaningful way, and that could be something like with Donovan's wife, Devin, doing SEO optimization for him to improve his business, thereby increase his income, all the way to maybe a incredibly traditional role of a wife who cooks and cleans and presses your pants and irons your shirt and everything in between. If she is contributing to the team being you and her or the household, in case you have children too, and you level up, so you get promoted, well, maybe you leveled up because you showed up every day in pressed pants and an iron shirt, and the other guy vying for the position didn't. So I do believe in including her in the celebration and the rewards that come with that accomplishment as well.
Yeah.
Thor, celebrating wins.
Okay, I thought you said celebrating small wins. Is it just all wins? Because I'm going to be controversial. The small wins.
Small wins. Yeah.
Not so much. No.
No. Okay.
Not so much, because that's the standard job description. That is expected. And it's expected both from employees and the relationships. The small wins are self-validated. The big wins now, that's what makes the difference. And that's what makes it not routine and strivable for, because the big wins sometimes are unexpected. They take harder work. Therefore, the rewards are greater. You know, I expect to win and I expect to make those small wins constantly. That's the standard job description. That's in my job description. That's part of my job. If I don't do that, I'm not doing my job. So that's kind of how I look at it a little bit. And it puts it into my head that these small wins are part of life that I will do. Now, occasionally, you know, I will recognize it emotionally with like my wife. That's a good thing. But the larger wins, that's where the focus will go. The smaller ones are reserved for self-validation. You know?
So, Thor, what would be an example of a small win and a large win?
Okay. She sold some stuff at a yard sale. That's fantastic. It's a small win. You know, great. I appreciate that. That's good for you. I'm not going to go out of my way to celebrate it other than you did a good job, just verbally, right? So small wins like that are great. A larger win is she helped with the business and we saved enough money over the course of 6 months to purchase a new vehicle. Now that we got that, we're going to go for a weekend doing something special to celebrate what she did. Very basic. But
Yeah.
it was more of a mindset around the wins. The wins are an expected part. We're not working win to win. If we're selling, and I learned this when we did some workshops early on in leadership, whereas if you're always celebrating wins too, it becomes the standard and it loses its value when you're working with
Desensitize.
teams. Yes, it desensitizes.
Yeah, going
So-
back to that less is more rule that I said before.
And it works with relationships too. It really does. And if they know that standard going in, that's just part of you pull your part and you're not expecting. I sell something at a yard sale and contribute to the family. That's just expected. I don't need a win for that. I don't need a celebration for that. Just my being in this relationship and contributing to the overall whole and your leadership is enough of a validation.
Because if you fall into that habit, then it becomes like the whole, well, I followed my diet for a whole week. I deserve half a chocolate cake.
Yeah.
We all fall into that, right? Diet starts tomorrow, right? So it's just a little different way of looking at it. Not much. You do have to celebrate your wins, whether it's self-validation or getting this external validation of the team or your leader recognizing you, whether it's in a relationship or on a team.
Yeah, things need to be proportional, though. That's one of the things I say in relationships is that, for instance, one of the things that I did is I didn't use enough negative reinforcement. I was using too much positive reinforcement in my relationships, but I was still getting negative results, and I didn't understand why. Well, because I needed to have better boundaries, and I needed to hold strong on them. So when I started doing that, I got more balance and, you know, had the power of no, as they say, right? So by striking that better balance and understanding that, hey, I not only do I need to reward and punish, but I also need to make sure that I'm doing it proportionally to, say, the crime or the effort, right? Because you don't want to overly punish. You know, it's like the guys that the way they punish their girl, instead of leaving the relationship, they beat the shit out of her. They do some bullshit like that, right? Instead of just being done with her, they resort to violence. It's like, but that already shows you lost long before that point anyway. Why would you even just bow out, be a man about it?
You don't want to do the relationship equivalent of participation trophy.
So there's one other thing you can do here when you have a lot of small wins that's going standard is to take one of those small wins and blow it out of proportion with the reward. I'll use an example. I had my team and they had safety issues and they could barely make a month without an OSHA, right? They made a month and a half. Now, what would be the reward? Maybe some burritos, some shit like that. You know what I did? I put them all in the van and I took them an hour away and we got onto these go-kart race tracks and we spent the next 4 hours racing go-karts. It was out of proportion, but after that, they had no OSHA recordables for a year. Think about that. Now, you could use something like that in your relationship too. It just changed everything because everybody knew the reward was not proportional to what they had done. Now I'm playing psychology on them about.
They're like, oh, how long can we go? And what are we going to get if we go a year?
Right.
Understand how deep this game goes.
Here's an interesting comment from Danny Arnold, and I think Paul is the perfect guy to answer it.
What if she kind of thinks of the punishment as a reward? Yeah,
I'm
like Nurse
talking my
Chick, she
game.
likes them spankings, man.
So what? But I mean, seriously, let's take his question seriously here. How do we? I don't think
Time
we,
and attention is the best punishment for a woman, honestly.
Yeah, I've joked with my girl a couple of times where when she's like really messed up or something like that, I'll make a you know, after, you know, I, you know, kind of told her off a little bit, I'll kind of make a little sly joke about like, well, if you really want to get punished, you know, just ask real nice, you know, and you'll be surprised what you might get, you know. It's just like you don't have to go out of your way and do all the, you know, mess all this up just to you know, have some fun, you know. We could do that, you know. So just make a little bit of a joke out of it after I've corrected her and she's like realized she's not going to get kicked out of the tribe.
And Thor, go ahead, show off that new ink. Get up real close to the camera. Show off that new ink
I
here.
imagine some of the viewers now, we have quite a few are going to want to know. Tell me when you got it in the camera.
There you go.
Oh, that's great.
So this is the Vesikvir, which is the warrior's compass. Each symbol has a meaning. The one pointing to the crown is protection. The one pointing forward is direction, force of direction. So this particular one is sized in a particular way, which is exactly the size of the tumor they yanked out of my head, the cancer tumor.
Holy shit.
Where the cancer tumor was. And I am still functional today somewhat. So they took me from a god amongst men to a now slightly below average god amongst men.
We're
conquering.
Can you show off the compass on your Drakkar vest that matches it so they can see where it comes
all
from?
of the Drakkars have.
Oh, we all have those
as well, and they are pointed to a particular direction for each man as they become a Drakkar on the dragon ship. Let's see.
It's not that one.
Yeah, sorry.
There we go.
So it is an old Norse symbol. Now this particular piece on the head, as I make several goals, will expand. You're probably going to see Jormungandr wrap around down my neck onto my back with the dragon wings, and then eventually a fist and Thor's hammer. So as I reach each goal, I'll be adding a piece.
Now, Jormungandr, what is that? Is that the world-eating serpent?
It is. It's the world-eating dragon. And if you know the myth around Thor, he's going to smash it with his hammer and drive it because it was eating the sailors. And he is going to drive it back to the depth with his hammer.
Very nice. And
as a representation of the cancer, right?
Yep. Sport says that's dope as fuck.
Thanks,
I
guys.
concur. It's fucking
Appreciate
awesome. Zane, Rule Zero was on Nuke's channel. Just FYI. All right, let's get to these last two, and then we'll wrap up here. So the next one is plan regular getaways, right? Schedule occasional weekend trips or activities that allow you to unplug and refresh. A change in environment can boost both your moods and excitement in the relationship. One of my favorite things to do with Nurse Chick is we'd like to get away to Glenwood Springs, which is about 2 hours from me. There's a place there called Iron Mountain Hot Springs, which is fucking awesome. Children are not allowed in the hot springs area. And if they're allowed to be there if they're quiet, right? But the kids are in there splashing, they'll be asked to leave, you know? And you can go and have adult beverages and sit in these natural hot spring pools and just relax. The best thing to do in the wintertime. Nurse Chick and I do that all the fucking time just to get away. It's 2 hours away. We can either stay the night if we want or just go there, have some fun, and come back, you know, in a single day. Great thing to do, I think, just to unplug from things and enjoy each other's company. Normally I throw things over to Tarl, but he's taking a break. So I'll throw it directly. Oh, no, he's back. Okay, Tarl, getting away, planning regular getaways with your girl for for a weekend or, a week at a time or something like that, just to unplug and reconnect with each other.
Yeah, once again, another thing that I would agree with, that if you can and are able to, and your girl's doing things that deserve it, once again, that can be a reward for yourself for doing good, as well as a reward for her engaging and contributing. Once again, is she a contributor or not? That's kind of the main question. If she's a contributor, she can come along as long as she's not going to derail the situation. But I would agree with that. Once again, there's a reason why we have that concept. What is it called? Vacationing. There's a reason why we have this. It's literally the cure for burnout. Like, we've been doing this for a long ass time, but once again, the culture now kind of has forgotten like the practicality of a lot of these things.
All right. It looks like AJ is back. AJ, you want to say something?
Yeah, we're just chilling here, walking back to the
What
place.
the fuck are you nerds talking about?
We're talking about getting laid, Vince.
Well, you guys aren't getting laid. You're on a video stream.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. I mean, neither are we. We're walking to the town of Gettysburg half drunk, so.
Yeah, this is the first time I've had alcohol in almost 2 years, so I'm feeling it pretty good right now.
Well, we got TJ doing some navigation, so we don't know where we're going to end up.
It's almost like a Cappy adventure at this point.
Day drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
We're
Actually
talking
getting laid?
about balancing work and life with you and your girl.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good topic to discuss.
So we got to expand it to where it's balancing your work and your life and your girl and your girl and your girl and your girl. That would be a tough one.
Yes. It's good to balance your stable correctly.
It's like I'm on vacation right now with Vince. I actually have 2 girls taking turns without knowing it, taking care of my dog at this point. It's just like, hey, this one's, please come over at this time, take care of my dog. You come over at this time, take care of my dog. It's a kind of a fun little balance.
There you
He's
go.
delegating.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Well, your audio connection sucks, AJ, so I'm going to kick you out. But have a good
Fair
day and
enough.
enjoy your day drinking, okay?
All
Good
right.
seeing you, man.
Good seeing you guys.
Good night, Dork.
Love you, Vince. No
All right.
homo.
Good man there. Masculine Geek, everybody. Go and subscribe to that channel, Masculine Geek.
Yeah, Vince is
Vince
a
and
good
his
dude.
crew are an amazing group of guys that are very stand up.
Corey, 100% Corey Wayne over AMS. Hey, Thor, planning getaways with your girl.
I'm sorry, planning getaways with your girl. It's
Yeah.
actually really, really important. It's something they should do, but not just getaways. You should plan social events or go to social events. Make sure you do something social where you can demonstrate that you are somewhat of a contextual alpha in that realm. When I say a social event, look, if you're into cars, go to the car night at the local Sonics, right? Go and talk to people, but demonstrate that. Whatever it is, it could be bowling, it could be Lego building, right? But make sure you do that as a part of planning the getaway too. Make sure there's a social event that makes it much more memorable than just going to a hotel with her or a casino. Have something in there, and not just a show. Make something where you meet new people. This is what really invests her in you more than anything else. Is all of those things around it create this emotional bond and solidify your leadership as a dominant masculine presence in that relationship.
Mike, planning getaways.
I agree and disagree.
Wow. Okay. No, it's okay.
Here's why. I would say you don't want too many regular outings planned ahead of time, because then that takes away from that spontaneity that gets her hamster wheel turning, that gives her the tingles. But I think you should have like 1 or 2 big getaways that you both know, especially her, because as men and women, you know, we operate differently mentally. Men, we can work for 5 years straight with no vacation. We're fine. To us, a scotch on the porch on a Saturday night is a vacation, depending on what kind of guy we are. But I would say when it comes to the planned ones, I would say have 1 or 2 big ones every year that are planned, that she does know is coming, because then she can look forward to it. She has something to look forward to. I would say even do 2 different strategies. You have 2 big getaways a year. You have the one getaway that's the same every year because you both love it. You absolutely, whether it's like Breckenridge or Hawaii or whatever it is, you both love it so much you have to go every year because you both love it. And so that way you're looking forward to it. Then have another one that you both know ahead of time is coming, but that one you change every year. So maybe one year it's the Grand Canyon. Then the year after that, it's Williamsburg. Then the year after that, it's a Rocky Mountain camping trip. Just do it at the same time every year, but change it. And I would say have those 2. that you can look forward to. Other than that, I'm a full believer in spontaneity, whether it's going on a bike trip up into the mountains or going to a social event that doesn't have to be planned in advance. Like, obviously the Chamber of Commerce ball, and you need tickets, and she wants a new dress, and and you need to get a babysitter. Yes, you have to plan for that kind of thing. But a new restaurant that just opened that you knew about and she didn't, don't tell her all the details. Just surprise her. Send her that text.
I like that. Nurse Chick and I we're going on the Chris Jericho cruise here in January.
Nice.
Fucking excited about that.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, the last one here is regularly reassess priorities. So periodically review your work-life balance and make adjustments to ensure that both your career and relationships stay strong. This intentional focus on balance helps maintain a fulfilling and connected relationship over the long term. Tarl.
Yeah. Self-reflection, once again. Be self-aware. Pay attention to why you're doing what you're doing. And you do need to reassess your priority list every once in a while. It's just like how you need to do your budget every month, right? Yeah, you might have a consistency in getting into a swing of things and have a method and a framework that works very well. But if you don't double check your work, eventually you're going to fuck up and make a mistake. And if you don't catch that mistake because you're not double checking your work, eventually it's going to get to the point where you will notice it in a really bad way. So yeah, always double check your work.
All right. Thor. Regularly reassess priorities.
Yeah, that's something you have to continue to do. I really don't have much to add to that, but you should be reassessing your priorities constantly because they're going to shift. And it depends. I mean, life is very fluid, isn't it? So you need to be able to adjust.
All right. And Mike.
Could you repeat it one more last time?
Reassessing priorities.
Well, obviously, you're going to reassess priorities whenever the what?
Thumbs up, hit the like button.
Okay, well, I was like, why is Destiny on my screen? Get him out of here.
Hey, he's saying hit the like button. I don't care.
He does like certain throbbing members.
Yeah. Shoot, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, obviously, when there's a big life change, like you get married, you have children, then yes, you're going to reassess. But you're also going to reassess after something bad happens as well. And I'm going to get deep here for a minute. My grandmother passed away recently. And so I have been barking at my parents to visit me for an extended period, like a 1 week stay in Vegas where I treat them to all the best food and shows and everything. And while they're my parents, it's not a relationship. There is a reassessment happening there because they're in their 70s. And so time with them grows short. And so to reassess, hey, you know, my mom kind of like poking my dad and be like, we need to slow down with the work and, you know, see our family and chill for a bit because we don't know how much longer we have, kind of thing. And I know that's pretty deep and dark on a beautiful Saturday morning, but it's a part of life and it must be examined. And so a less heavy version of that would be maybe you got downsized and you lost your job. Maybe you still have a job, but there's something going on at the company and they reduced your hours. And so now you're going to bring home less money. And so your ability to reward your good woman and keep things fresh is going to be diminished because you can't go out to that brand new restaurant every Friday or Saturday night like you used to. So now you might have to get creative. And shout out to the people who managed this back during the COOF days when we were all illegally locked in our houses. Some people got really creative and they would order things on Amazon to change their living room or their dining room to make it look like something else. They would string up the twinkle lights and they would get like some stuff to make it look like a Hispanic restaurant or a Chinese restaurant. and they would watch a themed movie and get takeout or cook at home and just do something different, something they hadn't done before, but they managed to shake it up without going out and spending a bunch of money painting the town red. You know, shout out to those people who made the effort to keep their relationships together when they're all both locked in their house all day, every day, driving each other nuts. And I saw some people stay happy that way. And so shout out to them for getting creative like that.
Yeah, that goes back to one of the concepts Rollo talks about that creative intelligence. That's one of the things that women do select for. And that's what, you know, once again, the guys that are looking for cheat codes, they assume money is going to entertain the woman. It's just like, no, it's what you do with the money you have. And you can be very creative and get a much better result with very little if you use your fucking brain. But a lot of guys don't want to use their brain, and this is why most guys struggle in life.
I'd much rather use my money to buy memories with Nurse Chick than buy her a bunch of random bullshit. So that's why we go on trips like to the Jericho cruise. You know what I mean? Danny Arnold sent a couple of super chats here. I'm going to let Mike read these, and we got to play the Elena soundbite for this. So let me play the Elena soundbite. Do we have it? Yes, here we go. And then I'll let Mike read this.
Shame this horse.
Yes.
Thank you, Danny Arnold, so much. You're the best, Danny. Yes, you are. You are right there. Yes, you. I'm talking about the only Danny Arnold, the one Danny Arnold. He's a great guy. He's a piece of work, isn't he? Shame these whores. That's what I did. Did you notice when I was elected that all these whores online said, oh, we're going to stop having sex. We're going to close our legs for 4 years because I took away their rights. I did no such thing. They do it to themselves, but here I am. I'm already shutting down whoredom all over America. Thank you very much.
And then Danny says another one. He wants the classic.
Danny Arnold with the $4.99. That's an Odin. There's not much more to say.
And then we got Ken Rose with a $2 super chat with just the thumbs up. I'm going to give him the old Odin for that one. Oh, hold on. We gotta give him this one too. Hold on.
Come.
Oh, hold on.
I'm gonna come.
There we go.
Very good.
All right. Well, that's pretty much what we got. We gave you guys the 10 different ways to keep that work-life balance. Let's go around the horn. What are your final thoughts, and where can people find you online, Tarl?
Well, so once again, the balance is able to be achieved. You just have to be paying attention, be willing to use your brain, do some critical thinking. It's difficult these days. I understand it, with all the entertainment and all the flashing lights, it makes it very easy to just, be like, hey, tell me what to do. ChatGPT, tell me how to live a good life. It's like, nah, ChatGPT still can't make you live a good life. You still got to actually do the things that live a good life. Even if you got a list, you still got to do the shit. So just remember, at the end of the day, ain't nobody going to do it for you. You just got to do it for yourself. So where can you find me? VikingParadigm.com, and that's where all my social media links are. Join the Discord and whatnot. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Mike, final thoughts. Where can people find you online?
I'm not online. I'm in the White House. I'm back in the White House. That's where you can find me. But seriously, check me out on the Instagrams. That's where food, celebrities, beautiful happiness. Yes. And then on X, that's where Elon and I raw dog the internet into an early grave. So thank you very much. We're going to make things amazing. We're going to make things fantastic. It's going to be huge. Peace out.
Thor.
I love it, man. The DragonShip is really on the rise, guys. Thank you, everybody in the chat. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to say much, but I am going to leave a link in the chat I have plans to do a pre-record podcast with some power linemen tomorrow. And if you guys are interested in changing your career up and making several $100,000 a year, you might want to take a look at that small video course. It's very reasonable and will point you in the right direction to get the certifications and the schooling that you need to become a power lineman. And you're not afraid of work, and you want to get out there and make some money, you can absolutely do that in the new economy. The future is bright. The dragon ship is a rising tide, and masculinity is on the rise. Listen to Rule Zero. Listen to Paul. Listen to Mike Steele, Viking Paradigm. All of the guys here will offer you very practical advice that's based on objective truth and empiricism that you can apply in your own life that has been field tested. We offer that with all of our books, from A Dominant Masculine Presence to Paul's book on the essential skills of a masculine presence with Paradigm. All good stuff for you to digest and start out great next year. Even if you feel bad about the election, just take a look at our stuff with an open mind. I think you'll see that it's not what you've been told.
Yeah, none of my books are political, so yeah. Democrats would love my book.
Yeah, they're not.
Tune into the podcast on Monday. Before I do that, final thoughts. Look, if you don't take the time to date your girl, some other dude will. Tune into the podcast Monday. I'm continuing my Book of Puck series. We're going to be going over the concepts from Puck's essay called Toward Manhood. So that should be good. Other than that, guys, get in my beer club, beer.comeonmanpod.com. It's a very active Telegram community with a bunch of like-minded red pill guys where you can go in there and swap notes. If you have problems in life, it's a great place to bounce ideas around and get some feedback from other men. We've got 4 guys in there now that have lost considerable amounts of weight. We have a subgroup for fitness accountability. We also have a subgroup for gratitude practice, which honestly is really good for your mental health. So we're changing lives in there. It's only $10 a month. You can't beat it. Other than that, we will see you guys next week on the Dragon Ship.